Tēnei hui. Good morning everyone and welcome to the Community and District Development Committee today. Just a reminder, the meeting is being live streamed, so just a reminder, keep your mobile phones on silent. We've got some councillors that are due to Zoom in. We hope to take their morning break at 11 and hopefully we will be done by lunchtime, but we'll see how time goes this morning. Could I ask your worship if you could open the meeting with karakia, please?
Thank you very much. Through you, Chair. Tūtaua mai I runga, tūtaua mai I raro, tūtaua mai I roto, tūtaua mai I waho. Kia tau ai te mauri tū, te mauri ora ki te katoa, haumi e, hui e, tae ki e.
Tēnā koe me tapsol. Call for apologies. I do have one from Councillor Wang for lateness, and I think there's an ongoing apology from Councillor Patterson for leave and Councillor Maxwell for leave. And I think Councillor Waru is joining us on Zoom shortly. So with those apologies, could I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Barker. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, thank you, that is carried. Are there any declarations of interest? No, there don't appear to be any. Any urgent items not on the agenda? Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sometimes I ask questions that I know the answer to, if I think it'll be of assistance to colleagues, the media or the public. I have a question to clarify some issues that happened on Monday, which I think will help the community to understand a little bit more about the short-term accommodation issue. So my question is, how many days may an Airbnb or the like advertise a property before the new policy kicks in?
Thank you, Councillor. Perhaps I'll ask Thomas if he wanted to answer that question. It's not an urgent item, but I think just for clarification, we're still to adopt the LTP on the 26th, but I think this will just be a very quick, short answer. Thomas?
Yep, so the test we have is advertising it to be available to book, and that threshold is 60 days. So if you advertise it available to be booked and used for more than 60 days in a 365-day period, then the policy would apply.
Okay, so to make sure I and the community understand this, an Airbnb could advertise for 365 days a year, for example, as being available from, say, the 1st of December through the end of January, and that would not invoke the new policy. Is that correct?
If that period that's being advertised as being available is less than 60 days, then yes, it wouldn't trigger. And yep. Just remembering December and January together are 61 days, but yes.
Is this a significant change from what we adopted, or is this the same thing?
Councillor Lee, I think we've just got clarification of the wording and I don't believe it's a change.
Sorry, this is exactly as the original proposal that went out in the consultation document. There's been no change whatsoever.
Okay, I can report back that there are many in the community who didn't understand this.
No, well, thank you for that clarification. And as I said, we've still got an opportunity on the 26th, and there are also going to be some communications from Council, and I believe that some has already gone out to clarify who was in and who was out. Thank you. Let's move on now then to confirmation of the minutes on page 6 of the agenda. Can I have a mover and a seconder that the minutes of the Community and District Development Committee held on the 8th of May be confirmed as a true and correct record? Moved by Councillor Waru, seconded by Councillor Kiriopa. Are there any matters for correction? No, there don't appear to be any. Then I'll put that. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Thank you, that is carried. And now for our first presentation, I'd like to invite Inspector Herbie Ngāwhika, the Rotorua Area Commander, and Mihi, and good morning JP as well. So we're going to get an update now on the Inner City Community Safety Hub and Partnership.
Sorry, Madam Chair, if I could ask if there are any Oh, it's already been done, but if there are any presentations, could I ask that they be displayed on the Zoom link, please?
Yes, you just need to give us a couple of minutes just to change screen over as the presenters come up. Thank you, Councillor Waru.
Kia ora. I see it here. Thank you.
Morena.
Morning, councillors. It's wonderful to be here just to provide you with an update on the community safety. Last year we adopted the community safety plan, and one of the key actions from that community safety plan was the opening of the community safety hub in the CBD. And it's been open and operating now for approximately 6 months, so we thought it was timely for us to provide an update in general around the community safety partnership we have with police, and also talk about the activities around the community safety hub. So we've just got a short presentation here. Herbie will be doing part of it, and Mihi will just be taking us through some of the key highlights from our current progress report.
From our Rotorua Lakes Council highlights from our April progress report, we have had 112 business engagements for the month. Promotion of info stickers have been given out to businesses. We've had a decrease in low-level incidents identified in CCTV operations. We've had increased welfare checks undertaken, increased CCTV focus on interventions, and increasing use of hub for community partnership discussions. So those are our highlights.
Morena, Madam Chair, Councillors, Mayor Tapsell, thank you for the invite here today. So, from a police update in terms of our joint venture, which has been going on now for like JP says for the last 6 months. Obviously the community safety plan, and I acknowledge the council for leading this, was aimed at improving the overall perception and safety feelings for Rotorua, with the start of it being a focus on the CBD. Out of that born the implementation of our community hub, and since then we've had a deliberately collaborated and coordinated deployment model going to address the issues, which pleasingly I can advise that it has improved the engagement and visibility within the CBD, in which on the next slide you'll see the outcomes of those. Obviously, this is only 6 months down the track, and I feel we as a police still have a lot to sort of improve on in that area. One of them being, I think, in terms of the hub, it's been underutilised by police, and we have plans afoot to try and address that as well. We've increased our resources within the CBD by just this week starting. We've had a second officer, community officer, start up his role alongside our current police member there. So there'll be two full-time dedicated resources to the CBD. And both of their roles will be the same around that engagement, around visibility, and working with our partners to improve the overall safety around CBD. Moving forward, some of the things I believe that we need to do is obviously there'll be a bit of a reset, and one of them was actually bringing our wardens in a more visible capacity. Now, I know the wardens are working hard in the community, but it's actually how we can now align them with what we're trying to achieve in the CBD and what's the best role that they can play in terms of their capacity and what they can do for us. So those discussions actually have commenced, and we will be looking to have a wider meeting with them and with our CBD partners around that. And so that will create some realignment that needs to take place as we look for the next 6 months towards our summer period, our holiday period. So if we look at what we had done was over the last 6 months, got some stats put together to compare with the previous 6 months. And as you can see on there, it's sort of self-explanatory, some of the results that have come from it. I'll let you have a look at that first and foremost. And There is, like I say, so these figures here focus purely on the CBD. It doesn't include the Central Mall because that's a different piece of work that we are doing, and that's currently underway in terms of discussions with our retailers in the CBD and Fenton Street. So this part here is purely within the CBD. But I think it's a good start for us. It's a positive start. And in terms of moving forward with the increased resources, I think we can expect to see this trend continue. The CBD continues to be a focus, a station whole focus. So it is very much on our radar, and that's something that I continue to push in terms of messaging for all our staff. So, but off the bat there, as you can see, some good reductions there in violence, property damage, trespass notices. But to throw some context around that, as with this, some of the things within our CBD, it's an ongoing, and things fluctuate, i.e. We've seen a bit of a rise again in our beggar situation, sort of popping and rearing its head again. So, there's things there that we will continue to work on there. So, thank you.
I think we're happy to answer any questions if there is any.
Thank you, Herbie and Mihi, for the presentation. Councillors, any questions? I think it's really heartening to see the positive progress being made in the CBD with those numbers, and it's good that we've now got some hard data to show that the Community Safety Hub is actually being effective. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wondering how do we resource some of the evening stuff? Are we concentrating on the day, or are we making a presence felt after hours for the benefit of the hospitality industry?
Thank you, Councillor. No, definitely. With the extra resource, we're currently re-looking at the deployment schedule, and the plan is to have coverage not only throughout the day but in the late shifts as well, but not just utilising those two members, utilising the rest of our other work groups in that as well. And the plan is to keep our frontline services free to do their normal BAU, but using our other non-frontline services on the occasions as we move forward towards our summer period. Look at what probably a better deployment model looks like with those after hours that you talk about.
Thank you.
Councillor O'Brien, followed by Councillor Waru.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the Chair. Herbie, welcome. Thank you again for coming along today. Much appreciated. Could I just ask, sorry, I don't know who's provided these stats. We do November 22 to May 23, and then November 23 to May 24. What about the period in between? Why was that not included?
That was deliberate in the sense that for the November 23 to 24 was the time when the hub opened. And so we got a corresponding period for that 6 months prior, for the other period there. The figures themselves have come from police data, from police intel, from reported crime to the police.
Thank you. Could I just say, though, I would have found it easier to have that period included. That's not shown here, but thank you very much. Could I just ask, there's been reported, and this has publicly been published, the mall end of Tutanekai Street seems to be a repeat ongoing concern for criminal activity. Can you give any particular reasons why you think that is? Is it because of the ease of, able to get away with the Amahau and Tutanekai being linked streets? What's your feeling on that?
So, good question, thank you. I think, look, that is unfortunately possibly a hangover from our motel services being used in that. I'm speaking anecdotally here, that it is because it's a congested area and it probably has been easier for people to go and target those premises, which is why we are working with the whole the retailers group down there to see how they can do things better and how we can actually help them better as well in terms of what we have to work with. So those meetings are ongoing and they are regular with our Central Mall retailers.
Okay, thank you for that.
Councillor Waru.
tēnā tata. Tēnā koe te pāpai e Herbie, kora ko mihi. I can't see, but I'm assuming ko mihi tērā e kōrero ana. I just want to ask around the, I think it was the low-level incidents. Can you further explain what that actually means, please?
Kia ora. The low-level incidences are more around signal crimes such as graffiti. There would also be willful damage in that at the low end, those types of offences.
Oh, okay. So those aren't included in the data that you presented today.
Yes, that's
separate.
Yeah, that will be correct. Yeah, so the difference being, so for example, if people are thinking about homelessness isn't an offence. Begging's not an offence, but the low-level offences that might come from begging would be obstruction, intimidation. So, yeah, when we're talking about low-level offences, it's the signal crimes like graffiti, intimidation. Yeah, I hope that clarifies that.
Yes, thank you. Tēnā koe.
Thank you, Councillor Waru. Your Worship, the Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you. Kia ora, Inspector Herbie. It's fantastic to have you here to provide this update as well. And myself and the Chief Executive did visit the Community Safety Hub recently, and it was great to see that in action too. I just have a question around the increased resources. You did mention with increased resources we can see this positive trend continue of decreased crime, I suppose. So just wanting to know what further resources would you require? It was pleasing to see the Minister of Police announce 500 more police officers. I'm not sure where they will be deployed, but we'll certainly be advocating for here. But is there anything in terms of resources that Council can assist with to ensure that we continue to see great progress? And I'm very pleased to have confirmation that a second community safety officer will be deployed here in our CBD. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. In terms of in terms of resources in it, look, I think what we have at the moment is great in terms of the city guardians. The increase in resources, I think we're going to get a lot of benefit out of utilising the wardens and the capacity that they bring. And it's interesting. So our Police Commission has just released our new business document, and one of the priorities on there is around community visibility. So using that as a directive, that gives us, well, gives me the mandate even more so now to ensure that our police staff actually paying more attention, not just to the CBD, but to the wider community, but with a focus on the CBD again. And so I'll be enforcing that moving forward. I think, and we have spoken about this as the whole, when we talk about, and we mentioned in the slide before around the reset and realign, again, it's just looking at the service we are providing as a collaborative group. When we look at the professionalism of our staff within the CBD, ensuring there is an engagement aspect. And I know from our first community constable, the way he's engaged with our retailers is actually, the feedback I've received from that has been, it's been astounding really. I've received written feedback, I've received verbal, it's great. So for me, with our staff, here's the blueprint for our second officer going into that role, is to, that engagement piece for the retailers just provides so much reassurance for them, and the fact that they're responding to incidents at the drop of a hat is further reinforcing their reassurance. So that's the sort of stuff that I'll be ensuring is maintained, and like I say, with the help of our partners in that as well.
Councillors, any further questions? I just have one, Herbie, it's just in relation to the CCTV cameras. So.
Right.
Sorry, Councillor Waru, was it you have a question?
Yes, thank you. If you would indulge me, Madam Chair.
I'll just finish my question to Herbie, and then I'll take your question. So it's just around around the CCTVs, I see that in the report, other councils around New Zealand have approached us to discuss how we've had this successful partnership or relationship with CCTV camera monitoring, guardians and police, and then emulating that model. Given that we've had some concerns around the continued access to certain CCTV cameras, is that something that you can assist us in if that is an integral part of this monitoring and crime prevention? Maybe that's a question for JP as well, as much.
Okay, thank you for the question. From a police perspective, I can't stress enough the importance of that the CCTV cameras have played to us within the CBD. Their partnership between the operators with the police and that, and also with our guys on the ground, is invaluable. So where we can support, we will. What that support looks like, in terms of potentially trying to answer your question, I probably don't have an answer at this point in time, but like I say, it is hugely important for what we're trying to achieve. So, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, it does. Thank you very much anyway. Thank you, Herbie. Councillor Waru. You had your another question?
Tēnā koe te hea mana. Kia koe aloha e te pāpā e Herbie. Te pātai tēnei e nā aho nipe kai te pōhoko I te whakautu ai kaorane. But I'm going to ask you, in terms of, just looking at the presentation that was given, and it looks really positive in terms of the reduction sort of crime and all this kind of stuff going on here in Rotorua. How do we stack up? How do we stack up next to other places in the motu, if you're able to answer this?
Kia ora, Councillor Waru. Look, sorry, I don't have any comparison stats to other areas. Again, just speaking anecdotally, we know all the major cities have their own issues. We know they all have problems in that, so I haven't, to be fair, I haven't actually focused on that at all. It's, for me, it's what's happening for Rotorua, and I mean, that's where we can have an impact, or I can have an impact in ensuring the safety of our community here. So, sorry, I can't answer that question for you.
Okay, Dubai, maybe for the next report, eh? Tēnā.
Ka pai.
Thank you very much. Councillors, no further questions? Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your leniency. Herbie, could I just ask you, is there any evidence or even anecdotal feedback from your officers that I see a lot of, I appreciate the vaping shops have an 18, I think, age limit, 18 plus, I think, but I see an awful lot of school children in uniform are encouraging poor behaviour or antisocial behaviour by youth, apart from the fact that they're vaping illegally. But
sorry, Councillor, I don't actually have any information on that. I can't answer that, and I haven't had any feedback from any of my staff around that as well, so apologies.
Thank you. No, thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Well, thank you very much, Herbie and Mihi, for coming along today and answering the questions. I think it's positive to see the progress that's been made with the Community Safety Hub, and we hope that we can see some further reductions as well at the other end of town. But thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. We will now move to page 13 of your agenda, which is a progress report. So can I have a mover and a seconder to receive the progress report for the Community and District Development? Thank you, Councillor Lee, seconded by Councillor Barker. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Thank you, that's carried. Welcome, John Paul, again.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Take the report as read and happy to answer off any questions.
Okay, we've got quite a big report here, so just give you a minute to collect your thoughts and get your questions ready, councillors. Councillor Barker, you wanted to...
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks, JP, for your report and all the content. Just on page 14 regarding the building consents and the forgery that was occurred with the engineer. There have been 21 local projects that were impacted. There has been some cost incurred by some of these customers of ours. Is there any redress for those customers of any kind, or do they foot the bill for having to redo their geotechnical reports or whatever?
Through Madam Chair, I don't have the answer for that. There was when you consider the scale of the offending, there was quite a modest charge or cost incurred by the guilty party. My understanding is it becomes an insurance issue for those individuals.
Thank you.
Your Worship.
Thank you. Sorry, I'll just quickly go back to thank you very much, Madam Chair, through you. Just a question around the fast-track consenting applications we currently have, in particular 171 Ferry Springs Road, Somerset Village of 300 houses. I note in there that it says Council is working closely with the developers to ensure the mix of activities proposed will not impact on existing commercial centres, including the CBD, because they are wishing to develop a commercial development that is fronting Ferry Springs Road. I'm also aware that it's an incredibly busy road that merges from 2 lanes into 1 as well. So from a safety perspective as well as a land use perspective, had we anticipated that there would be anything other than residential there? Because I know it had also come to a decision of council to allow access through Barnard Road off the top of my head. So I'm just wanting to ensure that we specifically zone certain land as being the most appropriate for that area. And while we want to be supportive of growing our economy and growing jobs, there is also best places for that. So I presume that these are the sorts of discussions your staff will be having.
In a short answer, through you, Madam Chair, the actual zoning is for tourism business currently. So the actual fast-track application is to use it for housing, or the majority of the site to be used as housing. So it has been anticipated, and they will be, as part of that process, needing to identify how they will manage traffic between the piece that remains commercial tourism, or housing.
I think, and just to further clarify, the previous council decision to allow access through Barnard Road, which is a kind of quiet residential area, was access for residential, but would not be intended to be access if there was a commercial centre?
Absolutely. The portions are separate. So the area they consider for commercial is on the front onto Ferry Springs Road, facing Skyline. Barnard Road services the residential part.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much. That answers my concerns on keeping the peace in residential areas. Thank you.
Councillor Wari.
Tēnā koe. O tira e te heamana, thank you, through you. Thank you, JP. I'm just a quick question. In terms of the mahi in your actual area of concern, in terms of your mahi, lot of what would you call it? There's a lot of activity planned for the years to come. How are you equipped in terms of your unit, your team, to deal with that at the moment? Are you... Oh, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Really quickly, you've got some decisions to sign off as part of the long-term plan. That will give us the chance to work with the Chief Executive and ensure that we've got business plans that are in place to deliver on most of those key objectives, both from our operational and our project base across the next year. So at this stage, no particular concerns, and it's something we'll just do normally.
Okay, so at an operational level, you're discussing these future plans that are coming on thick and fast.
I think Councillor Wari will ask our CE to answer that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councillor Wari, as JP's started to allude, there is a process that we're entering that I would expect as part of the normal financial year work planning cycle, which is as we approach the start of the financial year, we try and get a work planning process established so that we have clear visibility across the organisation about what the key initiatives, both BAU and change ones that we're running. And I'm quite keen to see that and make sure we've got the right resources across each of them. It goes without saying that we operate in an area of constrained resources, and in your long-term plan, you're going to be signing off some resources. That there's inevitably more ideas and opportunities than there are resources, and I'm quite keen to make sure that the planning of that is such that the activities that are important are prioritised and resourced clearly and as a priority, and then we'll come back to you with any changes we think in the work program that can't be achieved as a result of our resourcing review. Sorry, a bit of a longer answer, but I think basically, hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor O'Brien, followed by Councillor Kiriopa.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through the Chair. Thank you, JP, for your very extensive report. Could I ask regarding, and this is the words presented in the report here, the forgery case, can I ask, are there any steps we can take, admittedly we were lesser affected as you say, are there any steps we can take to mitigate this happening again in the future, i.e. like checking with authorised, is there some form of creating a passwords or, you know, given the amount of resources we've poured into one council, I'm sure there's an advantage or two we can pull out of that.
Councillor, I think nationally there's some reflections going into this, and obviously our staff are inputting into those discussions as well as one of the affected councils. Look, we had a case of forgery, so there was a falsification of professionals' names being affixed to reports. It is very challenging unless we go back and check every single document on receipt with, did you submit this? So there is some issues for us, I think, as a sector to understand what kind of protections can be put in place here. But for us, we're waiting for that national conversation to occur because we think that's the best place for it to be undertaken.
Thank you. Could I also ask regarding in your animal control portion around the amount of, sorry, I think it was over 1,000 dog infringements? Sorry, I've lost the figure. Apologies for that. So are you able to give us any idea what that's going to cost us as a council?
Councillor, yes, it's because we've now had to, we've been reporting this for over 6 months to you about reminder letters, extensions, reminder letters and extensions, and then the imposing of the penalty fee. At this point, with the submission of these still outstanding costs and across the 1,039, I think it was, to the District Court, it will cost us $30 filing fee for each of those. So it's cost us a substantial amount of money, but it's important that we ensure that this is carried right through to the courts. So hopefully we see most of those being settled through the court and we'll recover our fees.
Okay, so apologies, sorry, just to clarify. So we've already spent $30,000 just to lodge those with courts?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. And finally, could I just ask, could you extend a little bit or expand the comments about Tahaki geothermal, because I appreciate the issues that were brought up by Rotorua Airport. And if I can clarify, sorry, state what you have here, RLC has now provided formal comments to the decision-making panel. Could you break down what those comments were? Thank you.
Councillor, off the top of my head, again, I haven't got those in front of me. My understanding is, and the approach we took was that our planners submitted specifically around the rules associated with our district plan, and obviously separate to that, the Bay of Plenty Regional Council also has their spaces where they have rules in which they want to submit, and the last part, which was in regard to the CAA requirements, the airport submitted specifically around their concerns about the airport operations. So we stayed very much focused on our district plan rules.
Can I have a quick supplementary? Thank you, Madam Chair. So could I ask, are you able to advise the advice, or sorry, the, what would you say, the formal comments from our planning team? Was that generally supportive of the power station, or was it a negative regarding issues?
Councillor, I would have to seek that information and pass it on to you. And my understanding is that it gives an evaluation of the proposal against our district plan rules. So is it correct in zoning? Is it anticipated the traffic volumes, or discharges, all of those things? So I would have to go away and seek that information and pass it on to you.
Thank you. Could I just ask, Madam Chair, in future, it would be handy if we're going to have statements like that put in a report, that there's evidentiary of where the actual sits for next time? Thank you.
I think JP's provided a fairly comprehensive report, and this is the opportunity to seek clarification as where there is not enough information or you want further clarification. But I think we've probably got quite lengthy reports, and so I wouldn't like to be requiring JP to second guess what information would need to go in for clarification.
Sorry, just to be clear, I didn't actually ask for that, for him to second guess. I asked that if a statement's going to be put in a report presented at this committee, that there should be evidentiary statements surrounding those for us to examine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Kiriopa.
Thank you. I have 4 questions this morning, please. The first is just a follow on from Councillor O'Brien's question regarding vaping. I don't have a good understanding of consenting processes involving vaping and alcohol shops and pokie machine businesses, but under the Thriving and Caring Communities work that Council does on activating communities and co-designing solutions, in what way can Council support or work with our communities struggling with the impacts of vape and alcohol shops and pokie businesses in the area? For example, Kotu Road has 2 vape shops within 200 metres of each other.
Through you, Madam Chair, you have a number of policies that Council sets and that provide some rules frameworks. Obviously there's some national stuff that must be recognised. I'm not clear on the requirements around vape shops, but as far as things like off licences and alcohol shops, a lot of that is framed by our local alcohol policies, and actually we were intending to try and have a workshop in the next sort of couple of months for you to have opportunity to look at those policies and whether they need to change. So you're absolutely correct. There's a number of choices we have as communities, which also have potential corresponding harms to communities, and really that's also that decisions you make as an elected body through those policies around how far do we want to go to manage those effects or provide people with those choices. So we'll certainly be bringing that back towards you, certainly on the local alcohol policy. I can find out some more information for you on the vape shop consenting processes.
Thank you. And my second question is, under your natural hazards management section, I see geothermal hazards. There is a concern within some of our iwi Papakainga communities that the associated costs related to council policy to manage geothermal hazards will result in those residential areas becoming slums. How can council support those communities to avoid that happening?
It's an interesting one. I don't have an answer here today, Councillor. We have a geothermal bylaw where we have responsibility for managing bores. The natural hazards part of that is something that we have to manage with the Bay of Plenty Regional Council from a health and safety perspective. And you're correct, the geothermal hazards create a cost and an implication for communities that are around those, just like communities who live on, or some people who seek to develop on areas where there's liquefaction or other geotechnical issues. So I can't give you a specific response, and really that would have to be a policy decision of council if there was any aid or assistance to mitigate some of those costs of what is our natural environment.
Thank you. My third question is under the urban flood hazard mapping that council is currently contracting someone to do. Te Aroha have a climate change strategy which council recognised within the Rotorua Climate Action Plan, and council highlighted within that plan the importance of council working with Te Aroha Care, the Te Aroha Climate Change Working Group, to support implementation of their plan and on priority kaupapa identified within, which includes adaptation planning and disaster management. How can council work with Te Aroha Care to utilise the information that you're collecting to enable Te Aroha communities to identify potential flood hazards and mitigation for their communities?
Don't have the answer for that currently, Councillor, but the team are undertaking that flood analysis and the modelling, and once that's complete, I'm sure part of that process will be to reach out to that climate action group to start saying, well, what can we do with this information, and how do we take this forward? Obviously, the regulations through the district plan is one mechanism, but as you've highlighted, there's other opportunities there for discussions.
And can I just have a supplementary question to that? The flood mapping that was already done by Bay of Plenty Regional Council, is this, I guess this is going deeper. How is it different to what the mapping that was already undertaken?
There is a difference between the flood modelling that we're undertaking and the global modelling that has been done by the Bay of Plenty Regional Council. You've heard Stavros Michael in here previously talking about the kind of parameters that are used, nested storms, 1 in 100. One of the things that we're doing with the use of the Infrastructure Acceleration Fund is looking at that attenuation. So the Regional Council modelling does not recognise any of the changes we're doing to our infrastructure moving forward. So the intention of this modelling was to get a bit more granular because it does has an impact potentially on people's individual properties and certainly their future risks around getting insurance. So we want to and I think that's another reason why it's so important that we engage with community groups to make sure we're starting to look at some of those other options as well.
Thank you. And my final question is in relation to the inner city development and inner city residential analysis strategy and action plan. The Rotorua Climate Action Plan identifies building and energy systems as a mitigation priority to put Rotorua on a pathway to a low carbon future and infrastructure that can withstand, absorb and adapt to a changing climate as an adaptation priority to reduce our vulnerability to the impacts of climate change. How can Council ensure the redevelopment of existing inner city buildings incorporates green buildings and green infrastructure to ensure climate resilience?
Again, challenging question. One of the things we've tried to do is to make sure that we have as flexible rule framework as possible around the inner city. So that was part of Plan Change 9, and also ensuring that we have density to ensure we have the shortest travel distances for people who, compact urban form. So one part of it. We have our design guide, and I think one of the next steps will be for us to start saying hearing options, alternatives. At this stage, though, we're not imposing any conditions or requirements. The challenges around the cost of development are already significant, so we're hoping that the market will make the choices there about making better choices in that space, but again it has to be factored in as a cost. So at this stage it's guidance and ensuring we've got a flexible rule framework.
Thank you.
Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. JP, you referred to a couple of studies that are currently going on. One was the industrial sector economic and land assessment, and the other is, as Councillor Kiriopa has mentioned, the inner city housing landscape modelling. I'm just curious as to what actions and might come out of that. What are we driving those for, and what are the likely outcomes for us?
The industrial one, councillors, we've signalled, and you saw that when we completed our housing and business assessment, that we had a shortfall of industrial land. So similar to our challenges around residential, industrial was also another significant pressure point for us. I think Thomas has got a presentation later on which talks to the demand around industrial land compounding values. So one of the issues we've got with that study is to move to the granular detail which helps us bring forward a new plan change. So our future development strategy highlighted some areas for rezoning. One of the things that we're wanting to make sure we do through this study is identify the kind of industrial development, light, clean business park potentials, other flexibility, which gets down to the granularity of what we should be putting into a plan change. So it's to inform that plan change. The residential one that we're currently undertaking is really just to give some certainty about the feasibility and economics around redevelopment for inner city housing and apartments. So there's two parts to that, which gives us a chance to say, is it feasible now for us to be promoting it, or as we start developing up on the inner city framework, is it something that we should see gradually happening funding over time, or is there some economic incentives we need to put in place that may change the cost benefit of putting inner city development in place? So two purposes, one for plan change, one for us to see how it fits into our inner city framework and whether there's an opportunity or a need to consider some incentives.
Thank you, councillors. I think that looks like that's the end of the questions. So thank you very much, JP, for the report and answering the questions today. Councillors, page 29 now of your agenda. Can I ask for a move and a second to receive the progress report for corporate services? Moved Her Worship, seconded by Councillor Wang. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, thank you, that's carried. And welcome Thomas to overview your report, and also welcome Stuart and Janelle. Thomas, do you want to just take Janelle's presentation first, and then we'll come back and take general questions on your part of the report?
Yep, thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, councillors. So, Janelle and Stuart, Janelle in particular is just going to take you through a presentation around the first year of operations of the Performing Arts Centre. Then happy to take any questions on the presentation, and then we'll move through to the balance of the report. So, thank you.
How does this work? Tēnā koutou katoa ko Janelle Bush tōku ingoa kai hautu toi whakaari ki Sir Howard Morrison Centre. Thank you for having me today. It's my pleasure to update you all on our first year of operations at the Sir Howard. Just some context about me for those of you that I haven't met. I'm from Tamaki Makaurau with a lifelong background in the performing arts, including producing, directing, acting, festival curation. And I've worked in venues for nearly 20 years, including Auckland Live, where I established some marquee events, including the Auckland Live Cabaret Season, Summer in Aotea Square, Auckland Live Kids, and some commercial and subsidised investment projects. So for me, the opportunity to move to Rotorua and lead the development of an incredible performing arts facility to get it humming for national and international touring shows is an absolute privilege, and one that our whole team is dedicated to the success of. So we understand that it takes time, particularly in the current economic climate, to build a thriving performing arts centre, particularly as we're predominantly a venue for hire model. But we've been conscious throughout the course of the last year and a half to nurture our promoter relationships and to build a really strong brand that stands us in good stead for many years to come. In our first calendar year, we've welcomed more than 45,000 people through the doors across a range of commercial and community arts events, business events and public meetings. And I think these numbers really demonstrate that there's a desire and an appetite among our Rotorua audiences, and that supports us in attracting a range of commercial and contemporary touring works. Our vision that we've developed over the last year is us coming to understand what Rotorua's position is within the broader arts ecology of our country. So we are challenging ourselves to become known as the nation's leading bicultural performing arts and events centre, with a strong commitment to developing career pathways for talented local rangatahi, giving them a home to develop and hone their crafts, and using our networks to promote their profiles to national audiences. We've had some great content highlights over the last year and a half, working hard to ensure that we were immediately back on the map for international touring works by reaching out to those promoters and ensuring that they were aware of our venue's very impressive technical capability. This has paid off with the likes of BOM, delivering a sold-out international performance of Bill Bailey last December. That same commercial promoter put Sarah Milliken, the UK comedian, on sale last Tuesday, and already it's sold 700 tickets for an event that doesn't happen until January next year. We also partnered with the Performing Arts Network of New Zealand, who've brought 2 very high-quality contemporary works to Rotorua in joint venture partnership with us, the Haka Party Incident and Upu, and this has meant that our local community gets to see the most kind of contemporary prestigious work that's on the touring circuit at the moment. We've secured funding from Rotorua Trust to present 2 free annual whānau days for our community, presenting more than 300 artists with 2,000 attendees across both events. This year, we delivered a partnership season of Phantom of the Opera with Rotorua Musical Theatre, and our team delivered the full technical production of that season, We sold just shy of 5,000 tickets, which really proves that there's a demand for long-run marquee musicals here in our community. And this featured, the quality also of it was outstanding, given that it largely featured an amateur cast and creative team. Later this year, we welcome the return of heritage arts companies, the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra and the Royal New Zealand Ballet. And our diary is getting increasingly busy, with our calendar now open to commercial promoters for 2026. In 2022, Rotorua Lakes Council engaged Ticketmaster as our council-wide ticketing agent. Within the calendar year, Sir Howard Morrison has generated $1.5 million in ticketing inventory revenue, and our wider council events have generated just over $4 million. Ticketmaster and our partnership provide $350K in investment over our 3-year term, which provides Sir Howard Morrison Centre the capacity to run retail box office services and also program development opportunities, budget permitting. We're working on a 160,000 ticket target over this 3-year term, and once we hit that target, we then double our 83 cent per ticket return on anything over and above. We've also activated a performing arts levy, which is a user-pays system whereby our audiences contribute $1 on their ticket. This goes to the Rotorua Performing Arts Trust, and that will shortly form a contestable fund for local performing arts makers who are wanting to present their work within our council facilities. Ticketmaster is a global business, and the system's back-end capability enables us to capture audience data, monitor our sales patterns, and draw geo-data, all of which can inform us in making decisions across Tier 1 and 2 arts and culture projects that are seeking council investment. In year 1, our ticketed performing arts events were on par with the 2017 business case model, and those figures also encapsulate seasons, which obviously extrapolate out our event days. We've exceeded our offer of free events, meaning broad community access and growth, which to my mind was vital in year 1 for onboarding our community to the centre and also honouring our commitment to our key funding partners. These free events also generate opportunities for us to leverage our marketing to relevant audiences for other ticketed events. We've secured some high-profile business events driven by sales and joint delivery with the Events Hub. We've got a very diverse offering at Sir Howard Morrison Centre, and while we understand that there's strong competition in this space, we do work with the Events Hub to prioritise their access. Some key highlights for us have included hosting EVANS, the Events and Venues New Zealand conference this year, the New Zealand Māori Sports Awards, including all technical production being delivered by our team. And we're very excited next Tuesday evening to be hosting the Pōhiri and opening event for Meetings 2024. Between now and March 25, we have a further 7 contracted conference events happening at the centre. The development of our yield policy increases our commercial outcomes and has also provided our prioritisation to high-yield commercial events while also balancing our commitment to community access. Commercial events include performing arts events that pay a commercial rack rate, and our venue hire contracts also stipulate that our venue rental will be either the full rack rate or 10% of the box office, whichever is the greater figure. We have developed a resident company partnership with Te Whare Tāpiri o Te Arawa, who are a local collective of professional artists and educators who are passionate about creating works for Te Arawa by Te Arawa. This is a value-in-kind partnership, and in return, the company provides Sir Howard Morrison Centre's team with cultural competency under the guidance of Te Amorangi. This means that we're able to manaaki our international artists, our festivals, and our guests in a manner that's befitting to visitors to Rotorua as the home of Māori culture. Together, we're working to ensure the capability of our young people, giving them agency over their own artistry and education across all facets of the industry. We've received some great feedback from promoters and artists who've worked with us over the past year about the incredible facility that's been created here in Rotorua, and also about the high levels of service delivered by our team, because we understand that this, alongside a huge marketing support and outreach across our channels, is vital to getting promoters to continue to come to Rotorua. We have a highly skilled technical production team who have proven their capability to deliver a number of complex technical events, and we have upskilled this team significantly across all technical departments. Our team are industry leaders who have also run a series of free technical workshops for our community, And this is designed to build capability amongst our casual staff pool, which in turn means that we can handle increasingly busy event calendars and maximise our utilisation. Our community rate, which is reserved for local community groups and local not-for-profit organisations, supports us further in creating a thriving creative community and a home for the arts in Rotorua. Strategic partnerships currently include Aronui Indigenous Arts Festival, who present annually at the centre, Rotorua Indigenous Film Festival, which platforms our talented local screen industry, and Massive Theatre Company, who are a nationally accredited performing arts company who also deliver workshops to secondary school educators and emerging practitioners. So our community rate allows us to partner with local collectives and merge and expand our digital reach and marketing capability. And this collaboration generates a vibrant and engaged market that's highly attractive to our commercial promoters. That is a snapshot of what we've been working on for the last year and a half. So myself and Stuart and Thomas are very happy to take any questions or feedback.
Tēnā koe. Janelle, thank you for that extensive presentation. So, councillors, any questions on the presentation? Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. Thank you very much for your report, Janelle. Could I ask, on your business events page, it says there, we achieved 17 events against projections of 72. Could you advise where that shortfall is and what actions we're taking to try and improve on that? Thank you.
So the business event sales are actually delivered through Jolene Elliott's Events Hub team with Warren Harvey leading the sales. I think you would need to probably talk directly to Warren about the feedback he's had from promoters, but I think the issue that we have is that we are in direct competition with the hotels for the scale of what we can deliver in that marketplace. Do you have something to add there?
I can add a little bit more to that, Councillor. The business event sector books most of its bookings 1 to 2 years out, and so with the centre only opening 18 months, we're starting to see those bookings realised now.
So we're expecting a substantial improvement moving forward?
We're doing the best we can, but as Janelle mentioned, it's an extremely competitive marketplace. We're competing in that range of around 200 delegates, which fits right in the same realm as our local hotels do. The local hotels have more levers in terms of pricing, so we really, from a business perspective, we only have rental of space available. The hotels leverage accommodation, food and beverage, and their conference spaces in order to grab the business. It's tough for us out there.
So forgive me, was it not competitive at the time you came up, or someone came up with the figure of 72? Where did that figure come from, was it?
I'm not sure. I'd need to look back at the business case. I'll come back to you with it, Councillor.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So just to clarify as well, the business case was also pre-COVID. So, there were some targets that were set when I think the world was in a little bit of a different place. And while there was a bit of recovery, I think, in the previous years, what we're now experiencing as well, which was what we've talked about, is just there's a lot more other offerings that have come online in New Zealand with regards to the Christchurch centres, Wellington. I think Auckland Sky City is coming up as well. And so while they are much grander scale, they also offer some different offerings as well. So there's quite a bit of competition into that mix. And in particular, as we've talked about around the Event Hub, with regards to attracting events into Rotorua, will not prioritise our venues towards those. They will try and put the events or the conferences into the right location. So if there is other venue that is more suitable, then we would encourage them to do that, because we're better off from a Rotorua Inc. perspective having those events rather than in a different venue rather than not having them at all.
Thank you. I would just note, though, in reply, and thank you for your comments, I take them on board, many of the locations you've talked about, i.e. Sky Casino, the Wellington Conference Centre, Christchurch, all those have been pegged as coming on board for many, many years. So again, I'd just sort of say, well, this isn't something that's just come out of the blue. We were always going to be in competition with these facilities, but thank you anyway for your response.
I think the CEO just wanted to make a little comment there too.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I note that the question is largely around the targets set in the business case as opposed to the reports and the operations, if I might just note that, and maybe the action is that we come back with some commentary on whether the business case accurately predicts the conditions that we're currently operating in. So, Madam Chair, I wonder if that's an appropriate summary of the questioning at this point.
Any further questions, councillors? Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Janelle, for your report. Firstly, congratulations on your successful extrication from Auckland, and sounds like from your enthusiasm and your experience, we're pretty lucky to have you, so welcome aboard. And I have enjoyed a lot of the shows that have been on the menu. It's been really good to see, so awesome. Hey, just one quick question. I heard something about $1 from ticket sales was redirected. Sorry, where was that redirected to?
Arts Trust. So that was established to receive funding from Sir Owen Glenn during the building's development, but that's now holding nearly $50,000 in ticketing revenue based off that $1 per ticket. So that's going to form a contestable fund for the community. We're just working through a strategic document for that now.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your Worship.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've got two questions, one regarding Ticketmaster and then another regarding shows over multiple days, potentially in our school holidays. The first one regarding Ticketmaster, I have had feedback from a number of event organisers just at their concerns around Ticketmaster's promptness to be able to distribute tickets. Have we had any issues with that have been challenging for delivering our shows as stress-free as possible?
We've had a little bit of that feedback as well, and we've investigated it, and often it's, once we've gotten to the bottom of it, it's kind of user error, but we've worked on a campaign to really explain the different ways in which you can purchase, and establishing the retail box office and ensuring that people that don't use an online system have an opportunity to come in and buy tickets, not just for shows at Sir Howard, but for Ticketmaster events nationwide. So yeah, no, I don't think we've got ongoing issues.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to think that if there was Ticketmaster, will be very responsive to us as well. Thank you. And then just finally the question, it was great to have fantastic shows like Phantom of the Opera that went over a number of days, and as you've mentioned, sold a number of tickets. It was very successful, and I do note that, yes, they were, well, they were amateur, they were, like, quote, amateur, they were incredible in their performances. We've got a lot of talent locally. One of the questions that I have had, just in terms of Rotorua in general and our brand, is many destinations, top tourism destinations around the world, they will have an ongoing or a stand-in show that is performed from a very famous venue within that area. Is that something potentially to investigate in future as well, so that when we do have our peak tourism seasons and we're looking at being a world-class destination as well as utilising our venues to their maximum capacity, is that something to look at in future, where there could be a particular ongoing show if that shows that it could reap the benefits of ticket sales, as an example, during the week?
Absolutely. So we're working in partnership with both Rotorua Musical Theatre and Lakes Performing Arts Trust, who are probably the only companies locally that have the capacity and capability to deliver those large-scale productions. So we've got annual bookings with them, and we're now in a joint venture conversation about a large-scale children's family musical for a school holiday slot next year, because we can really see that there's a huge market for family content here. I think there is also an opportunity for a significant Rotorua work, and I would like to think that over the 3-year term that we engage with Te Whare Tāpiri, that we might be able to create something, a kind of haka theatre piece, which really speaks to where we are and becomes a tourism product.
Thank you very much. I think this is just one of many future opportunities. I congratulate the team for having a very successful first year, and we look forward to ongoing success in this venue for both our community but also from a commercial perspective too. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wang.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Janelle and Stuart, for the presentation there. And I echo the comments around how positive the centre has been. It's been really great to see the vibrancy that the centre provides our community, and especially the pride I think that people have when they go in and see a show or have an event in there. So it's been really great to see that back in our town. I just had maybe one or two quick questions. The first one was just around if you had any data around whether the out-of-towners coming in to Rotorua to see the shows and the events that we have here at the Howard. Do you hold that data, and are you able to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we
now?
absolutely can capture all of that data through Ticketmaster's back-end system. We noticed probably Phantom of the Opera has been the largest increase from a sort of regional Bay of Plenty ticket perspective in terms of that reach. One of the issues that we face is that we're getting a lot of touring work because we're a venue for hire. That touring work is going to all of the other venues within the region, so it's really about us leveraging any sort of support spend with those promoters on things that are only happening in Rotorua. And ideally, down the track, we have a little investment fund that can then mean that we're bringing in work that's only happening in Rotorua and therefore broadens our reach.
Thanks for that, and that's great to hear that there's that ongoing work going on as well. And just touching on what Stuart mentioned a little bit earlier around the competition, I'm aware that, like in Hamilton, their theatre, I guess you could call it that, is currently undergoing development. What work are we doing to, I guess, prepare ourselves to establish ourselves in that space, so that, you know, when those other centres do come on board, that, you know, knowing that there will be competition, but we have the upper hand in terms of, you know, we're already an established centre with the experience, with the, you know, numbers to show for it.
What Benel mentioned before in terms of where the audience is coming from. So depending on the show, but around about 20% of our audiences come from outside the region currently. That larger catchment area actually comes from the wider Bay of Plenty. I don't think the numbers from Hamilton aren't that great, and I don't pose that there'll be a threat to us. You know, we'd be more concerned if there was further development, say within Tauranga. Because their theatre, there's only 530 odd seats, you know, ours is 960. But there is an opportunity for us to certainly, with investment, to further the reach around the outer regions to continue that audience development the facility needs.
Awesome, thanks for that, and please relay a big thanks to the rest of the staff at the centre as well. They do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, councillors? No, there don't appear to be. So thank you very much, Janelle and Stuart. I'm not sure, Stuart, are you staying on for the rest of this report in case there are questions relating to that? But thank you very much, Janelle. Councillors, we'll just go back now to the agenda. So there were, from page 29 on, so this is the progress report from Thomas's area, the culture, heritage and mahi toi. Your Worship.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a question around the museum project. I note in there that the cost, and this is on page 30, cost for removal of asbestos was 59,000, which was considerably less than the 140,000 estimated, and a reduction in program of 14 days. Thank you very much for that. I know we've put in a lot of attention towards how we can reduce spending, in particular our large infrastructure projects like the museum. But I do just wonder, in there's also noted regarding the exhibition. And since we have shifted the funding towards the redevelopment of the museum, we do not currently have funding for the exhibition. So I just wanted to check, although we have an open year of 2027, when is it expected that the exhibition fundraising work will begin, so we can ensure that we stay on track for that? And secondly, when can the council or the committee, through Infrastructure and Environment Committee, receive an update on the exhibition work and how that may be looking at playing out. Thank you.
Firstly, in terms of the exhibition funding, we've had conversations already with the Rotorua Museum Centennial Trust that raised the 23 million back in from 2008 through to 2011. So we've met with the chairman and some of its members earlier this week, and we're planning another meeting next week to look at those funding opportunities. We've scanned the wider funders that are out there, and we do have quite a funding gap at the moment. So if we're looking at all the gaming trusts, for instance, we think maybe that could be as much as $1 million out there if we're successful in applying. And then Lotteries Community Facilities Fund, which is now open, we'll be applying to that as well, maybe 300,000 from that fund. We're really hoping that the Lottery Significant Project Fund, which has been closed for the past 2 years, will reopen next year, giving us an opportunity to get more of a significant contribution. And wider than that, we're looking at potentially some philanthropics that may be able to help. And I can't mention the person's name that we've got some thoughts around at the moment, but is certainly well connected, and particularly with a B company. The work that we've currently undertaken in the exhibition, as we've just completed the concept design phase, will bring a presentation at the council in the next month or so.
Yeah, so just on that, I have in my hand, I guess, the concept design prepared with Workshop E and all our organisations. It's quite a hefty document, so we're just going to work with Stuart and the team on how to provide a condensed version and take the council through it. So when we took the stakeholders through it, I think, Stuart, you said they were full one-day workshops with regards to going through all the intricate detail of every aspect of the building, what it was looking to achieve and what was being delivered. So the intention is to provide a condensed version of that for yourselves and take you through it so you can understand what it is, and then obviously this will be used to leverage the fundraising exercises.
And sorry, just on that note, who is assisting us with that piece of work with the exhibition? Oh, sorry, just on a further question, who is assisting us with the development of the exhibition design? Yeah,
so the contractor that, is Workshop E. They have significant experience. A lot of their team are actually ex-te papa. And for those who have been fortunate enough to look at their work up at Waitangi Treaty Grounds with the Maori Battalion up there and the new museum is there. They also do significant work for Auckland Museum and Te Papa itself.
Thank you. Councillor Barker.
Actually, just further to Her Worship's questions around the reporting of this information on an ongoing basis, have you got a structure in mind or a methodology about how that's going to happen and how it fits in with the build project?
Yeah, we're planning to bring a progress report to council each month on progress across the various different program aspects we've got for the build. So it's not just the build, we've got the exhibition development, operational enablement, and then we've also got a comms plan and our stakeholder management as well.
Great, thank you.
I think the CEO just got a little comment that he would like to add too.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So to answer your question around the broader reporting of this as one of the critical capital projects and broader, not just a capital project for council, there is an updated framework coming, and that's going to report through not just this one but other capital projects as well. Council has received quite a lot of briefing on the museum building to date, and what we're highlighting at this point is that there are other critical work streams associated with delivering the service of the building, which we're starting to explore fully and flesh out further. So those will come to council in a framework soon.
Okay. No further questions, councillors? Sorry, was that a question? No? Councillor Waru? Oh, no, sorry. Your worship?
No, I was just saying no, I don't have any questions, sorry.
And sorry, I just wanted to, while Stuart is here as well, just thank the Museum Events and Engagement team for the Tonga care workshops that they've been holding, and also the taonga that they've been taking out to the marae, to the various community. I acknowledge that they are a small but hard-working team, and they not only have been working Monday to Friday, but also on the weekends to do that, and that connection, while our museum has been closed to some of our precious taonga that we do look after, I know has been greatly received by the iwi, but also the wider community. So just a special thank you to the team on that.
It doesn't look like there's any further questions. Thank you very much for the comprehensive report, and it's good to see we've got lots of forward bookings. I was interested to see we have a seating symposium for 500 seats or people, so be interesting to hear in due course what these conferences are, and we look forward. We've got meetings coming up, so that's an exciting thing for Rotorua as well. So thank you very much to the both of you for that report. Councillors, we are nearly at the morning tea adjournment. What I think we might do is take the resolution to move into public excluded, then we'll take the morning tea break, and then we'll come back into public excluded. So I'd like to have a resolution to move into public. There are confidential minutes from the previous meeting held on the 8th of May, and then a presentation update on revaluations. The withholding of the information is necessary to protect information where making available of the information would be unreasonably to prejudice the commercial position of the persons who supplied or is the subject of the information. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Brown. Seconded, Councillor Barker. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, thank you, that is carried. I think we'll take the morning tea break until 11:15 if we can resume then. Thank you, councillors.